Alicia, and this is my ASMR channel. And in today's video, this is day 27 of the Monster Mash Marathon, where for 31 days I'll upload 31 videos about spooky, scary stuff, mostly. So, on day 27, we are talking about the Redcap Fairy. So, Redcap is a malevolent fairy-like creature from the border folklore of England and Scotland, known for inhabiting ruined castles and murdering travelers to soak their hats in their victims' blood. So, redcaps are usually depicted as evil, murderous, and bloodthirsty goblins that are the opposite of friendly fairies. They represent the darker, crueler side of the fairy world. They are said to live in ruined castles and other desolate places along the Anglo-Scottish border, which is the border of Scotland and England. This border is known to have a history of violence. The area was often disputed, and as a result, many souls were lost in the bloody battle between the two nations. The Redcap was said to either take advantage of this conflict or be born from it, haunting the ruins of the borders. These fairy folk would murder any mortal foolish enough to get in their past. So the origin of the Redcap is like a little ominous. Some people say that it came about during the battles. Some people says the battles and the bloodshed were so bad because the Redcap fairy was there instigating more and more the conflict between Scotland and England. And these are known as like the Anglo-Scottish Wars, and they occurred between the early 14th century to the latter 16th century. So this is like 200 years or so of like battle, bloodshed, war over turf, over like the border area. I saw that another theory about the Redcap is that it's like a dead border reaver, and I had to look up what a border reaver was, you guys. But border reavers came about during the Anglo-Scottish War because like the Anglo-Scottish frontier lacked completely no law or order. So reavers are like thieves or like looters or raiders, and these raiders came from like every social class, from a laborer to a peer of the realm. It said he could be skilled oarsmen and fine guerrilla soldiers, as well as like people who practice fine arts of arson, kidnapping, and extortion. So it could literally be anybody. It could be the most noble people or the most down bad people. Basically, display of like nobility towards either English or Scottish people. But it got to a point where like a reaver could literally be anybody for any reason. It was said that there was no social stigma attached to reaving. It was simply accepted as a way of life. And on one account, a reaver's wife was giving her statement about it. And it's like in old English, so I'm not going to attempt to read it. But basically, she was saying like people may look down upon reaving or whatever, but it is quite literally a fact of life or death for her and her family. Her husband was a reaver, and if he doesn't go and raid, their family doesn't eat. Plain and simple. So, it is clear that reaving became like a way of earning a living for a lot of people. It was no longer about this great political claim or like social standing that you could get by stamping your loyalty to your country. It just became like a get rich quick scheme, essentially. They got like so down bad that Scottish reavers were just as likely to raid other Scots as they were to raid across the English border. And then Scots and English would even join forces to raid either side of the border. Like a Scottish reaver would say like, I know some people on the Scottish side that we could set up, and they would frame it as if the English reavers did it all on their own, but it was like a setup facilitated by a team up between English and Scottish reavers, because it just became a way to get money and goods. Yeah, the victims of reaving could be pretty much anyone outside of these people's own immediate family. So a lot of people think that the Redcap could just be like a really, really old spirit of like a reaver. In terms of appearance, Redcaps are often described as short, stubby, or thick-set old men with long, sharp teeth, skinny fingers with talons, large red eyes, and long, grizzly hair. They are often wearing heavy iron boots, but despite that, they are like faster than any human being. They move with like such a quickness that they could catch any fleeing human within seconds. And of course, they wear the red cap, which is the most defining feature. It's what gave them their name. And the cap is kept moist by dipping it in the blood of the people that they kill. This is because cap will perish if the blood dries out. So the cap is kind of looked at as like this demonic spirit or this demon. And the red cats need to like feed the demon, and they do that by dipping it in the blood. So if they go too long without a kill and their head dries out, the demon also will die within the cap, and I think within the little monster. So yeah, the weaponry they use is like long iron pikes, which they use to bludgeon their victims. And they have also been known to utilize stones. Luckily, these very have some weaknesses, but these weaknesses are highly debated within the literature. And a lot of people believe that this is based on a later adaptation from Christianity, where, okay, unlike most fairies, iron does not repel the red caps. However, they are vulnerable to religious symbols, quoting the scripture or holding a cross up. It will cause them to vanish or retreat in pain. But basically, I read something that was like, results may vary. Like, it depends on how deep you can pray, baby. Like, basically, like, prayer from like a priest or something would be stronger than just prayer and holding up a cross from a regular person. Like, you really have to mean it for it to work.